What's up everyone, I'm Never a Dull Moment, and this is my 2014 Honda cb500F. Now I've had this bike for long enough to know what I do and don't love about it. I'm planning on keeping it for a little while, but it's time to start doing a few little upgrades. Now I might get some flack for this, but in my review of this bike I said, I kind of made fun of people who thought the exhaust was too quiet and they went and upgraded it right away. I gotta say, after running this bike for a little while, the exhaust is too dang quiet. I don't really care enough to spend like $250 or $400 on a new exhaust, but for 60 bucks, I think this one's worth a shot. I found a Radiant Cycles Shorty GP exhaust for only $60 on Amazon. It shipped to my house pretty quick, and I figured I'd just give it a shot. It reduces about 7 pounds off of this bike, and from videos it seems to sound pretty good. Now personally, I'm not a super loud bikes or awesome kind of guy, but I do want to try my best to accurately show how much louder this bike is than stock, and see if it may or may not be for you, and definitely see if it's going to be right for me. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get this big old honking piece of chrome off the bike, reduce some weight, and see if we can get this thing to sound better. Alright, so here is the package that you'll get with the Shorty GP exhaust. I have unboxed this once, but I just figured I'd show you what the box looks like. There's no branding or anything, it's just a plain white rectangle box. You get the exhaust all wrapped up in here, nice and bubble wrapped. Take this out. The only thing that you get with it, there's a little note that says like a thank you from the seller, and then you get this little loud and alive sticker. Not really the best catchphrase, but I guess that's not what you're paying for here. The exhaust actually feels a lot more hefty than you might think. It feels really solidly built. It's a nice solid metal, and there is a little tube that runs through it, and then there's the kind of external pipes. There's two pipes, just this pre-installed clamp that's already on there. There's no instructions for how to install it, but I don't think you should have too much trouble figuring that out, and I'm also going to walk you through how to do it in this video. So that's pretty much all there is to say. I do have high hopes because this seems a lot better built than I was expecting.
So the first thing we want to do is just loosen up this bolt that's right up by the passenger foot pegs. I just loosened this up. I didn't fully remove it quite yet. Then we go down here and we want to loosen up the other bolt pretty much as much as you want. It's not going to stay on. Then I went ahead and removed the entirety of the passenger peg bolt. I just do this to be extra careful so there's not pressure being applied in weird areas, but it's not really necessary at all. Then you can go ahead and pull off the stock exhaust. Then I went ahead and loosened the opening on the slip-on. What I found was that the slip-on didn't really want to go on with the kickstand down, so what I ended up doing was using my rear tire stand. Then it went on much, much easier. I just felt a lot better about it. You probably don't need to do this, but I'm just a bit more tedious than some others. I then went ahead and rolled the bike off this rear tire stand, nice and careful. And it just felt like it was really close to making contact on the swing arm. I did go ahead and get it to this better position, and then I went ahead and tested it. And as you can see, only on the kickstand does it kind of make contact, but there's really not an issue aside from that. And then here's what it looked like when it was done. I kind of like the look. It's definitely different.
All right, now let's go ahead and see what the stock exhaust sounds like. It's definitely a lot louder. I'm trying to be mindful that the garage is going to reflect sound more, so this is going to be louder than it actually sounds outside. I think there's only one thing for it. I gotta take it for a test drive. I'm gonna go ahead and open it up on this main road and see if it's crazy loud. I'd like to get some time in on the main road down there where we're basically at highway speed, so that'll be a tell. It's actually not, I'm surprised it's not like louder when you rev it out. It's not like disappointing, it's more like, oh okay, that's not too bad. I could imagine it being maybe a little bit drony if I was going on a freeway trip. But man, those downshifts sound so much nicer.
All right, here's the real test. We're getting on the, what I could call the freeway. It's not really a freeway, but it basically feels like one for about 2 miles. So we'll kind of get this nice little stretch and see what freeway speeds, freeway traffic, etc. is like. And I'm going to try and keep a roughly consistent speed. For science! So I'm top gear. Going about 60. I could see this getting a little annoying if you're staying at exactly the same speed. It's loud enough. I'm wearing earplugs, and I'm thinking if I was going to go on like an hour or 2 hour trip, I'd probably put the stock exhaust back on. Around town, this would be fun. You're changing speed and switching gears a lot. This, maybe not. Here, and not my best U-turn. But it is the best this bike has sounded. Man, yeah, that's a lot more fun. When I take my, like, critical glasses off and start, you know, just enjoying riding it, man, it definitely wakes this bike up in terms of character. Not in terms of power. I think it's exactly the same. I wouldn't buy this for power, but it's, I mean, it just sounds, this is, it's so much more exciting, but it just has a lot more personality. And I'm not even in top gear. There we go. Oh, yeah. It's a bit droney. There's actually, you know, the funny thing is when you get above 70, you just start feeling, the wind gets loud enough to where it kind of cancels the exhaust out. So it's actually not too bad. I would say like 60 to maybe 65 or so, just that constantly, if that's what your freeways are like, that can get annoying. When you get above 70 though, I mean the wind resistance gets high enough to where you don't hear the exhaust as much. Right around 75 is where I can start to hear that change happen.
Alright, so I just wanted to clear a few things up before the end of the video. So, first things first, I was really impressed by this exhaust. I think that the build quality and the sound you get out of it for the price is absolutely amazing. I kind of bought it on a whim. I figured I'd try it out as a cheap option, but I actually ended up really liking it. I think it's very usable for around town. I would say if you're going on a long trip, like 2 hours plus, I would probably put the stock exhaust back on. So don't go and destroy it or throw it in the trash can as some kind of symbolic hatred that you had for how lame this bike sounded stock. Also, I mean, you want to keep it around just in case you ever want to sell the bike, because some people might not like this. Anyways, it's a really great value. I'm really surprised. I wouldn't be shocked if these ended up going up in price a little bit over time. One thing I will say is that I am actually pretty sensitive to like annoying drony sounds. So I was definitely on the cautious side for this, and even for me, I think it sounds pretty solid. One thing that helps that is that the cb500F and the other 500 variants do have a resonator down here. So that's just a way that they dampen sound before it actually gets to the muffler. Part of why this bike sounds so quiet stock, and it enables a really cheap option to really wake this bike up. So that was all really solid. The other thing is I wanted to say I did actually end up going on the freeway. That might have been confusing. I just wanted to take this bike on a quick rip around town and see how it felt, but I ended up just having some fun and going on the freeway and enjoying it. Last little business item, not too exciting, but if you do live somewhere like California or somewhere else that has more strict emission standards, you might not be able to legally install this on your bike or even buy it online. I live in Colorado where pretty much anything that's considered a muffler is legal. So it's not a big deal for me, but you might want to check up on that before you get too far ahead of yourself and try and buy this. Alright, I lied, one more thing. For any of those of you who might be wondering about any weight savings or performance benefits that you're getting from this exhaust, honestly, I can't say with any good faith that there was anything I could feel that was different. You do reduce about 7 pounds by putting this exhaust on and getting rid of the stock one, but I didn't feel the weight difference at all when I was riding. Maybe if I were to do like the exact same ride with both of them on, but nothing I felt immediately, and they are roads that are familiar to me, so can't say that there's much in terms of that. In terms of power, I can't say that there was really anything that I noticed. It does feel faster, but I think that's mostly because of the sound, and it kind of tricks your brain into thinking the bike's faster. So those are not big reasons I would say to buy this. It's not going to be like the best performance bang for the buck or anything like that. I'll be making comments on this video if I find that I hate it down the road or something like that, or if I run into any other issues. But as it sits now, I think this is a really great product. They have them available for a lot of different bikes. I think they're almost exactly the same, just slightly different cuts and that sort of thing. But with all that said, I'm never a dull moment, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I do some other motorcycle content, so feel free to check that out if you're interested. I also do a podcast focused on kind of riders that are getting into motorcycling and that sort of thing, so feel free to check that out if you're interested. With all that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.